Donald Trump removing Anthony Scaramucci, who's been about a week on the job, removing him from the role of communications director. What do you make of that, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the previous commenter had the right take there of, I don't know why Scaramucci was ever put in this role in the first place. It was certainly entertaining, but he was never on message. And, of course, the whole incident with Ryan Lizza in the New Yorker, that, of course, it seemed like his numbers his days were numbered from the very beginning. I think ultimately, though, looking at the New York Times story, and they're the ones reporting this so far, it appears that this was a decision made by General John Kelly, who came in this morning, had a meeting with the administration, made it clear. The New York Times says that he was in charge. And, of course, Scaramucci had been out there talking about how he was reporting directly to the president. That is in contravention of, typically the way a White House works, where the chief of staff is the access point to the president. And so clearly there was a bit of friction there, and I would imagine, without knowing for sure, and we'll wait and see the official statement, but I would imagine that's a significant part of the reason why Anthony Scaramucci in 10 days ago and now right back out.
Eric, do you think this is a move in the right direction for the administration in terms of staying on the agenda, tax reform coming next? Do you think this is a move in the right direction, or is this a step, I don't want to say back, but a step sideways or in the wrong direction at this point?
I mean, so many people coming and going so quickly, that's never something you want to see in an administration, right? But there's no doubt that Scaramucci was a distraction and was, he was more about his own message, really, I think, than anything the administration was trying to push. He's not somebody who has a history or experience working with the press or managing a message. And I think having having a former general come in now as the chief of staff of the White House, that's a signal that the White House is maybe getting a little more serious about being disciplined, being on point, having a coherent message going forward. Yeah. And part of that means the person who goes up there every day and talks to the press has to be capable of selling that message. And I don't think Anthony Scaramucci was that guy.
Let's not downplay the potential here. And I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know for a fact, but I've heard it from people close to the White House about Steve Bannon's role here. If you remember that tirade that Anthony went on, he attacked Marines previous, obviously, but he also made a move made some comments about Steve Bannon's ability to perform certain acts on himself. Okay, which we don't have to get into. I know for a fact that did not set well with Steve Bannon, and if you look at what happened after that, things leaked out about Anthony's personal life right after that. I'm not saying Steve did all that. I'm not saying he's behind that. What I'm telling you is that when this thing is finally written, why I'm sure General Kelly wants him out, but this has to be approved by the president, and my guess is that I would be asking right now if I were in Washington, but I'm here, I'm just going to ask anyway. Did Bannon have anything to do with this? Because Bannon, if anything, is a guy that does not forget when someone says something that Anthony said about him.
Well, Adam Shapiro is at the White House, so let's ask Adam that question. Did Steve Bannon have anything to do with this? Do you know anything about that, Adam?
The simple answer is no, I don't have information about whether Steve Bannon actually was part of the decision-making process. But look at what's coming down the pike. What we were just reporting in the last hour, we're shifting to tax reform. And then you have the situation with Gary Cohn saying that the next 3 to 4 weeks, as well as I think it's Mr. Short who was saying we're going to start the markups on tax reform. And you need someone in place who can interact with the Hill and with Congress to deliver the tax reform package. Reince Priebus was unable to do that with health care. That's one of the reasons he was out. But then you had Anthony Scaramucci saying that he doesn't stab people in the back, he'd stab them in the front. That's not the kind of tone you want to set with Congress. It's not the kind of tone you want to set with the people who you have to negotiate with and to deliver the message that you're all supposed to be on. So that's one of the reasons you can imagine that, Chief of Staff John Kelly and the President are trying to set the tone as they push the tax reform agenda front and center.
Is Eric still with us? Okay, Eric.
I think so.
You're there. Okay, your mind is spinning, but you're there. Do you think that General John Kelly has the tone, the demeanor, the respect necessary to fix things and get the message out there of the agenda, specifically tax reform?
That's a good question. I mean, this is a White House that's coming off a pretty big political loss last week with the health care failure. Another loss certainly is something you can't have if you want to keep the administration as some sort of a functioning unit going forward. Changes are necessary. Changes have obviously happened. I think at the end of the day, Anthony Scaramucci made the best case for his own dismissal from the most public-facing role that the White House has by saying the things he said to the New Yorker's Ryan Lizza. I mean, that is a fireable offense, no matter how long you've been there, and no matter how close your relationship might be with the president.
Let's be real clear here. Let's not make Anthony Scaramucci is not the problem of the White House. It's not the reason why we're not having tax cuts and all this other stuff. I mean, this is not. Let's not blame him. He's been there a week and he got off to a really bad start. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss that, but this guy is not the core problem here. The core
These are cosmetic changes, sure.
Right. These are cosmetic changes, and the core problem is the president. The president has an uneven agenda. Tweet stuff that he doesn't, he forces his. By the way, just the very
Charlie, let me ask you this: do you think General John Kelly can control the president and his Twitter account? Do you think that's possible?
My dad was a Marine. Okay, so I have the utmost respect for Marines. If anybody can contain Donald Trump's bad instincts, it's a Marine. But I am telling you, Donald Trump also once said, and you can get the exact quote, that he thought, going to military school as a kid was somehow equivalent to serving in the armed forces.
Right.
So when you start making those sort of equivalencies, you're a guy that, doesn't care. When it really comes down to it, you might not hold a Marine general in such reverence. So it remains to be seen. But if you're telling me that Scaramucci is the problem here, not even close. He would have been a benefit to this administration if they put him in the right friggin' job.
Yeah, so Eric,
I think we can wish all the luck in the world to the new. Yeah, I think we can wish all the luck in the world to the new chief of staff. But you're absolutely right. I mean, ultimately, this comes down to the president. It's a president who has been jumping from one topic to another, can't stay focused on one thing even for a single day, much less a week. We're supposed to have all these themed weeks in the White House, right? And it hasn't. None of them have gone according to plan, largely because of the president himself and his Twitter account. And that's what needs to change. Kelly is part of that change, but ultimately it's on Trump, who's shown a willingness to throw his best friends under the bus.